What's up, guys? Manny here, back with another video. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for subscribing to the channel and showing love. It means the world to me, and the channel's grown very fast. So thank you for your kind comments and supporting the videos. Thank you so much. So coming off of UFC 284, there's a lot of controversy about who won the fight. In my opinion, Volkanovski won the fight. He won round 2, 3, and 5. But over the last 10 years, MMA judging, specifically in the UFC, has been a big hot topic in the sport. So just this year, we had the Paddy Pimblett fight where, Paddy clearly lost the fight. Anybody with two eyes can see that he lost that fight, and the judges give it to Paddy. And we had the Sean O'Malley fight where he fought Peter Yan, and he got pieced up. I like O'Malley, but he got pieced up in that fight, and the judges give it to O'Malley. So, and many other fights. It's just a couple off the top of my head. So it's kind of like what's going wrong in MMA where these judges are giving these fighters who didn't win the fight. Here are a couple of my theories. So in boxing, boxing has always been super corrupt, especially when it comes to judges. Biggest one I can remember off the top of my head is when Mayweather fought Canelo, and he clearly dominated the fight all rounds. And then one of the judges gave Canelo the fight when there's no way in hell he won the fight. Boxing has a long history of being corrupt, though. With the mafia ties and the betting scandals and all these different types of things that go on in boxing and have went on in boxing over the years. So now we look at MMA, and recently with the James Krause situation, the betting scandals, fixing fights, stuff like that. You gotta kind of put that into account with these fights that, where these fighters are clearly getting robbed. For me, it pisses me off because I know what type of work these guys put in to go out there and fight, and every single fight means the world. Every single fight is if you win, it makes a big difference in your career. If you lose, it makes a big difference in your career. And if you win, it's like you're way closer to your goals. If you lose, it might take a year to get back to that point, especially in the UFC. Every single fight matters, So, it's kind of like what I personally think is going on. I think there's a few factors. So, I think when a live fight happens, a lot of these judges aren't martial artists, first off. But when a live fight happens, there's so much going on. There's so much intensity. The crowd. There's so much going on that you don't really, truly remember exactly what happened in the fight in that 25 minutes. All you remember is the beginning of the round and the end of the round, especially if you're not a fighter and you don't know what you're looking at. So I think a lot of times these judges get swayed because of the crowd, or because of a fighter might look more intimidating than the other one, or because they might have other vested interests in that fighter and seeing them and making them want to win. That's just what I think, my experience in the fight game and just looking out throughout history in the fight game, especially in boxing. I think the judges mean well, but maybe it wasn't in the script to have Volk win the fight. He clearly won the fight, but I don't really understand how a judge can look at that fight and be like, all right, Islam won the fight. That makes sense. Like when Islam, maybe they're looking at the takedowns, but Volk is getting up as soon as he's getting taken down, and he's talking trash the whole time. He's doing way more damage. He's way more effective in the fight. So I don't really understand what these judges are looking at. And it's a big issue in MMA. It's ruining the sport. To be honest, it's ruining the sport. If a fighter fights and he wins, there shouldn't be no question. Like, this guy clearly won the fight. Now, everybody might look at a fight and you might think someone won, or you might score something a little bit differently. But the overall MMA fan base, especially in the UFC, we're looking at these fights and we're like, this guy clearly won, you know? So why is it that these judges are giving the other guy the fight? Makes no sense. Makes zero sense. It's really, really ruining the sport, you know? It's really ruining the sport, and it needs to change. It needs to change. Especially because in this sport, it's such an unforgiving sport. It's such a brutal sport. It's such a intense sport. Like, these guys give everything they got to this sport. So to see people get robbed, you know, they robbed Volkanovski out of greatness that night. He could have been a double champ. You know, they stole his moment. So, and now they're trying to call Islam the pound for pound champion, pound for pound #1 fighter. Get out of here. John Jones is clearly the pound for pound best fighter. You know, so. But even then, you know, we look at John Jones when he fought Dominic Reyes. He clearly lost that fight, but they gave him the fight. I believe as a fighter, fighting really comes down to body language, because the judges, the crowd, no one truly knows what's going on in there. It's the two fighters who are fighting, who are feeling each other's punches. They're the ones who really truly know what's going on in there. So I noticed, like, for example, when John Jones fought Alexander Gustafsson, and pretty much all of John Jones' fights, he always, after every single round, he raises his hands like he won, even if he got destroyed in that round. Because the judges don't really know what's going on in there. And it's so intense and they're getting amazed by what's going on in there as well, that all they remember is the end of the round, John Jones has his hands up. So he must have won the fight, must have won the round. All they remember is at the end of the fight, John Jones doesn't look tired. So he must have won the fight, you know. As a fighter, I believe that, you know, you need to be extremely conditioned, and you need to always look, and even if you're getting destroyed, you need to always look like you're winning the fight, you know, regardless of anything. Because the judges, you know, the judges are on some they're on some weird stuff, you know. The judges are on some weird stuff for real. So especially the more further on you get in your career, and the more money is on the line and championships on the line, you never really know what's going on. So as a fighter, you need to always be fully conditioned, in great shape, and looking like you're winning every single round, you know, just to really, really make sure that you don't get screwed over. But even then, you might still get screwed over. It's unfortunate because it's really ruining the sport, you know. But I think the solution is to get former fighters as judges, or make the judges go through extensive training for years, and make it more hard to become a judge. And everybody should be able. We should have open scoring. I don't understand why the UFC doesn't do open scoring. It's something that's extremely easy to do, you know. So yeah, man, you know, I don't mean to go on a rant, but it's just in the sport that I love, you know, to see guys just losing when fights that they didn't lose, and the history book says that they lost, is just annoying, you know. I feel for Volk, you know, definitely feel for Volk, but he's a hell of a fighter, you know. I'm sure he'll be back when his next fight. Maybe he'll come back and try to finish him, you know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you guys soon. Let me know what you think about MMA judging and how we can make it a better. We can fix it, you know, make this beautiful sport stay a great sport, you know, because the judging really is messing up the sport. All right, guys, peace.